So, Higgsfield, you already know them. You might also know the AI community has been split on whether the hype is real after the influencer marketing controversy earlier this year. So when they sent me Supercomputer, their new entry into the agentic AI race, I was already ready to be skeptical because they specialize in multimodal generation, not agentic. Then I ran a real test. I gave it the same spec from my Claude Code and Gemma for video last week, plus a few other things. Watch what happened. My name is Daniel Jindil, and I used to run AI info business that questions my moral every single day, and eventually I had to quit. Now I'm just giving away everything I know about AI for completely free. There's no gatekeeping. You can join my free community newsletter to get as much value as possible. But all I want from you is one thing. Comment down below, please, because that's where I'm getting all my inspiration from, and it's really fun to watch. So before I show you what I tested, let me lock the frame so the rest of this video makes sense for you. Why don't we think of it like the difference between a workshop and a manufacturing line? In a workshop, you build one thing at a time with your hands and your tools, where the variability is part of the craft, and the catch here is you own the workshop. A manufacturing line, however, does not do craft. It does the same thing identically and fast, where the catch here is you do not own the line, you rent time on it. My take on Supercomputer is that it is a manufacturing line for content. And last week's Claude Code and Gemma for Stack is your workshop. They're not competitors, they are completely different tools for different jobs. And confusing them is how you waste money in either direction. Does that make sense? So test one, I asked Supercomputer to find the top videos in the local AI and AI agents niche from the last 60 days and watch each one frame by frame. Now most tools claim they can do this, but almost none actually do it frame by frame. They do it by niche. So they read the title and scrape the description and pretend the rest. It gave me time-coded hook, observations, cut frequency per minute, the specific frame where the video earned the view, and the CTA placements for every video in the niche I actually operate in. So I went back, watched the source video to verify, and it got the observations correct. In plain English, it actually watched the videos. I think this is a part of the marketing that is real, and the visual context engine is not just a tech line. It is the thing that earns Supercomputer's place in any conversation, actually. Now, that was the obvious win. Here is where it got more complicated. Now, test 2, I gave Supercomputer one prompt for a real DoMate workflow, which is my company, a companion lead magnet for one of my videos, one prompt for the full entire loop. It pulled my brand memory from another agent setup in one click, and that part actually worked, which I was not expecting. Then it generated a brand book, a promotional plan, a build playbook, and a working landing page. Here's where it earned the lane. The brand book and the build playbook are quite fascinatingly usable. Not perfect, but usable. Here's where the catch here is the brand colors came in 90% right. The till got pulled close, but not exact, but which is a small thing, but worth knowing. And the landing page is just fake. It renders and looks like a real download page, but the PDF download itself is a placeholder. It's just an HTML file, not a real integration. So it is a working prototype, not a shipping site. My take is this can save you the first hour of brand asset generation, but it does not necessarily save you the last hour of policing or the actual backend work. Now the part that actually changed my mind, this is the part where I was most ready to be skeptical. Now test 6, and this is the one where I was most ready to be skeptical. The brand asked me to include a non-video use case, so I picked the most loaded comparison I could think of. I gave Supercomputer exact same buildplan.md I used in my Claude Code and Gemma for video last week, same spec into a different tool. I don't know if you remember, but last week Claude Code with Gemma for a 31 billion dense model needed multiple attempts to ship a working game, where it failed at 32,000 contacts, then failed the capability test at 128,000 contacts window. And even the model that worked, it quit self-verification mid-text twice. That was workshop in action with all the variability that comes with handwork. Now, same spec into Supercomputer, and 30 seconds later, it gave me the same enemy types, the same game over window, same exact output, where the cost was around 146 credit, which I'm showing you on screen. This is what the manufacturing scale actually looks like. Where the catch here is you do not own the manufacturing line. Every game build build costs credits, and the workshop is free to run, so when do you use which? Here's my take. If you are iterating on something where the spec is locked and you want to produce consistently, this is the lane that I'm talking about. If you are still in the discovery mode where the spec changes every day, the workshop is much cheaper and gives you more learning. They are not competitors, like I said, they earn different jobs. So, and hear me out. And if you think this is impressive, why don't you watch what happens when I asked it to do something I actually use it in my own videos. Now, task 3, motion design. This is something that I'm really excited. I asked Supercomputer to generate 30 seconds of B-roll for a YouTube outro with kinetic typography, Doom-made brand, dark theme with teal accent. Now this one is interesting because it asked me clarifying questions about direction where most AI tools just to pick for me, and it produced 2 full sequences, both which were usable. Jaden, my editor, could drop these straight into my video. This is the manufacturer line at its strongest, where the output is consistent, the brand fits, it took less time than opening After Effects. And here's a quick note from Higgsfield. Gemini 3.1 Pro is actually cheaper to use inside Supercomputer than via their direct API access. I could not independently verify the exact delta, so I'm going to show you what they say on the pricing page, this little box, and letting you decide for yourself. I think it's worth checking if you're a heavy Gemini user. Okay, come closer. So here's my take after running all of these tasks. Supercomputer is a cloud content production engine, but the funny thing is it created the survival game, the exact replica, faster. So maybe it's useful for pretty much everything. I don't know. And their current marketing leans on competitor killer framing. However, the verdict is up to you. But let's lay out the facts here. Here is where it actually earns its place. Frame by frame video analysis, deterministic fast output when your spec is locked, and motion design at editor grade, and outside that lane, stay in the workshop. I think they did pretty good job overall. If you want the different lane decision metrics I built from these tasks, it is linked in the description. It's free. Just sign up for my newsletter and it's yours. It's covering when to use the workshop, when to use the manufacturing line, when to use both. And big thanks to Higgsfield for sponsoring this video. The discount link is in the first few lines of the description and pinned in the comments. Anyway, that's for today. If you want to see more, why don't you comment down below on what you want to see next, because that is how our channel runs. You ask, I build, we all learn. See you in the next video.